いけ翼。
How's it going, everyone? This is nothingxs, and I'm here with T.Ken Tsubasa to talk about the latest surprise banner that was just dropped on top of us, the Warring World Warriors Brazil National Team Dream Transfer. This banner features the latest Rising Sun Brazil players, Pepe and Leo, who both received hidden abilities, and Natureza and Radunga. A quick reminder, if you want to join a good community to talk about Captain Tsubasa, or you want to talk more about this video beyond the comments, you can join us at the new subreddit r/ctdt to talk more. With that said, let's dive right in. Natureza, fervent desire to be stronger, is a skill-type forward and attacking midfielder who plays for the Rising Sun version of the Brazil national team. He's sort of an expansion on the old skill-type Natureza, Miracle Play, and brings some interesting quirks with him that make him an interesting decision for focused skill-type Latin American teams that are faced with the decision to run either him or his Dream Collection version. Natureza comes with a super solidarity for skill-type Latin American players, worth 15% to all stats, with an additional 2% for any Rising Sun players. Many players don't realize this means any Rising Sun players, so keep that in mind. Natureza's passive is a link passive for skill-type Latin American players. This increases his stats up to 15% for every skill-type Latin American player on his team, up to 8 players. He comes equipped out of the gate with 2 S-rank skills. His main skill, S Soft Touch Looping Volley, may not be the strongest volley he has access to, but it can't miss the goal if it beats the goalkeeper, having 100% goal judgment. It features 475 momentum at S99 with an incredibly inexpensive stamina cost of 360, which makes it incredibly efficient. His second skill is a shot everyone has come to know and love, the S Miracle Flying Drive Shot, a 510 behemoth ground shot with an equally massive 470 stamina cost and a mere 5% chance of banging against the post. To round this all up, he also comes with A Flying Drive Pass, a 325 momentum, 190 stamina pass that he's unlikely to get much use out of. Natureza's stat distribution is pretty lopsided. His base shooting reaches a whopping 8.2k, making him a clear goal-scoring threat. He also comes with a more than respectable 6.8k dribble and 6.7k pass to round him out offensively. He's not much to write home about on defense, however. His speed also rounds out to a fairly average 6k. For an offensive limit break that leans on 1-2s, we suggest going with 25 shot, speed, power, and 21 pass and technique. It's a classic basic limit break that will pump his speed to 7k at base while throwing his match-ready shot all the way up to an unbuffed 13.1k. The bump to passing will be needed if you ever plan to use a 1-2 with him. Now, if you prefer to break through with dribbling instead and don't mind the investment, a 25 shot, power, dribble, and speed limit break is preferable, which will bump his unbuffed dribble all the way up to 11.3k. Natureza's parameters truly shine once he's in a team full of players that he can fully maximize his link passive with. With it enabled, you can really see his value as a player. If you have the flying drive overhead kick, that's an 86.5k high ball nuke. His default S volley is already a respectable 80.6k low ball challenge that can't hit the post. As mentioned before, his classic default S shot is still strong, reaching 76.9k. The rest isn't much though, as his A Flying Drive Pass, despite being a really decent A pass, can only reach 39.9k and is easy bait for an opponent's pass cut. His best 1-2 is A Dream Duo EX, which requires Tsubasa, and as most EX skills, comes with a monstrously high cost of 400 stamina. Since this only reaches 370 momentum, that caps out at 45k for a 1-2. Not bad, but not particularly impressive. Still, it may not matter if a 1-2 skill only reaches the 40s if you intend to match up against someone with bad interceptions. It's suggested to go all out on shooting here. Keep the default S volley so you don't feel betrayed by post contact, particularly since 2-stage flying drive shots matches against the post 20% of the time even though it's stronger. You can also keep S Miracle Flying Drive Shot. Add S Flying Drive Overhead Kick to give yourself a third option to convert off of high balls, which would be your strongest option of the bunch. It's probably worth going all in on offense here, focusing on S Miracle Dribble as your fourth option to shake off poor tackling defenders. Finally, take your pick of either A Dream Duo EX or A New Brazil Football. The reasoning here is that New Brazil Football is perfectly acceptable if you identify a forward with weak interceptions to punish at the start of a match, and overspending for a 1-2 in those circumstances is not worth it, particularly for kickoff pressure shenanigans. Is this Natureza better than the Dream Collection version? Well, no, but he can be played for a full match, and with the Rising Sun buffs present in his own Solidarity team skill, it's arguable that he is a better fit in skill-type Latin American teams than the Dream Collection version, regardless of how strong the Dream Collection version is. Is he a key player for skill-type Latin America? I would venture to say he is, given his team skill and close synergy with that team type. Is this Natureza worth pulling for? Well, if you're trying to build a skill-type Latin American team, I would say the answer to that is a resounding yes. Radunga, powerful senior defensive midfielder, is an agility-type defensive midfielder who plays for the Rising Sun version of the Brazil national team. He fills a position of need at defensive midfielder, as there are still very few of them for Latin American teams overall. Ultimately, he's a very straightforward player, so let's check him out. Radunga comes with a super solidarity for agility-type Latin American players worth 15% to all stats, with an additional 2% for any Rising Sun players. Again, that's any Rising Sun players, so keep that in mind. His passive is a straightforward forward attacking midfielder killer, makes him 15% stronger in all stats when matched up with players in those positions. His main skill is S Fierce Warrior Tackle, a 455 momentum and 425 stamina tackle. His other S skill is S Speedy Cover Intercept, a 440 momentum and 355 stamina interception. Both of these are pretty decent on him and serve him well, and if you think that's a kind of a hint to the player he is, think again. His third skill is A High Power Block at 320 momentum and 370 stamina. Radunga is a defensive player through and through with an incredibly high 8.4k tackle. Surprisingly, he also sports a 6.4k block and a weak 5.9k intercept. Remember that I said if you thought the S intercept and tackle were hints to think again? He's primarily tasked with being the person to force a long shot or pass while another player backs his tackle up with their own skill. The result is that he's easy to pass over even with an interception limit break, and with 5.8k speed, he's not particularly difficult to run past either. This kind of limit break was more useful in the past before the long shot nerf, the shot stopper limit break going 25 block, power, tackle, and speed. It may seem odd to you, but if you plan on using, say, the S block from a Dupe Dreamfest version on him, this is the way to maximize the potential of that build. You only really see much use out of it when playing in a full defense stance, however, as players rarely shoot from a distance anymore unless right outside the penalty box. Otherwise, for the more standard defensive midfielder limit break, a 25 tackle, speed, intercept, and technique build is recommended instead. This will emphasize the two skills he comes with out of the box and allow you to use them effectively in a match. Radunga's parameters as a defensive midfielder focus on using a 67k Fierce Warrior Tackle and 59k Determined Face Block to try and stop shooters from, shooting from right outside of the box. Meanwhile, building him properly as a defensive midfielder keeps the powerful tackle and replaces the block with a 50k Speedy Cover Intercept instead. None of that is particularly impressive on paper, and frankly it isn't particularly impressive mid-match either, but that's just the way it is. For a skill build, there's really not much to say. If you have access to a dupe of S Determined Face Block, you should add it, but not emphasize pumping it until other skills on your team, and on him, are taken care of first. You can round the skill list out by potentially replacing the A block with A Fierce Warrior Tackle, as his tackling is actually strong. An A tackle for 48k can really save stamina here and ruin a potentially weaker dribbler's day. Finally, a high-speed South American dribble exists as a random offensive option in the event you're matched up with a forward with no defensive options and you really need to keep that ball. Is this Radunga better than his other versions? Well, definitely not. You can argue that in an agility-type Latin American team, it still might be better to play Dreamfest Radunga, even with his team skill. Is he a key player for agility-type Latin America? I think he's only necessary if you can't find another team skill to fit the bill. Is this Radunga worth pulling for? I would say that the only way I consider pulling for him is if I was desperate enough to complete a full Solidarity Agility Latin American team, and frankly, I just don't see that many people who are struggling with that. Leo, Brazil's young attacking midfielder, is one of the two players to receive new hidden abilities from this set of players. He's a skill-type Latin American forward and attacking midfielder from the Rising Sun version of the Brazil national team. His hidden abilities and team skill make him a great player to pair up with the earlier Rising Sun Natureza we talked about, and also the Dream Collection Natureza. So let's just dive right in. Leo comes with 5 incredibly useful hidden abilities that make him one of the strongest versions of Leo to hit the game to date. Full power gauge up allows his team to start with 10% full power already built as the game begins. Recover decreases his stun time by 80%, making him incredibly sticky, and paired with his 100% chance auto-intercept enhance, makes him a nightmare to pass the ball over regardless of where he is. His last two abilities are two separate stats up passives, the first of which grants forwards and attacking midfielders a 3% buff to all their stats, and the second of which makes Natureza a whopping 5% stronger on the field. Leo comes with a super solidarity for skill type Latin American players worth 15 to all stats with an additional 2% for any Rising Sun players. Are you seeing a trend here? His passive is a straightforward combination Natureza, which boosts his stats by a massive 20% when he plays along Natureza, making him a sure fit on a team with the earlier Natureza. His main skill is S Confrontational Shot, a bit of a weaker shot that caps out at 440 momentum while costing 405 stamina, and unfortunately cannot be removed from the main skill slot. His other two skills are A skills, with A Brazilian Silver Duo, which is a 1-2 with Pepe that has 350 momentum for a cost of 340 stamina, as well as an A high-speed South American dribble, a dribble that can reach 315 momentum as well for 230 stamina. You will notice none of these skills is an interception, which means you will have to get one from elsewhere to use his auto-intercept hidden ability. Leo's stats are kind of wild, with an 8.6k shot telling you the kind of player he's trying to be. He's no slouch elsewhere, frankly. 6.6k dribble, 6.6k pass, 5.5k tackle, 5.6k intercept, and 5.9k speed are not particularly bad. And while it's obvious he's a full-on offensive character, you can see that once these are pumped by 23% from his own hidden ability and passive, he can be a very threatening player on the field. If you're thinking you want to score, a striker's limit break of 25 shot, power, speed, 21 pass, and 4 technique is more than appropriate, allowing him to get a lot of juice on his shots while making him fast enough to break into the penalty area off a 1-2 and good at setting up other players as well. For a more utility-minded player who may consider running him in the midfield and who doesn't plan much on shooting, go for a utility build where your dribble and tackle are 16, while your speed is 18, and 17 pass and intercept with your technique at 16. This should give a bit over 1,000 in each of those parameters in the match, making him difficult to get around, but it does leave a bit on the table when it comes to striking potential. Leo's parameters are kind of wacky, and I think it's worth only exploring a striker build in this regard so we can show you how they sort of did him a little dirty, particularly considering he needs a lot of different players around him to be successful. Assuming it plays along Natureza and Santana, you can use Brazilian Twin Shot to get up to 76k on a ground shot, but it means you will have 2 slots dedicated to shooting in your skill build. His Brazilian Silver Duo reaches 40k with this limit break, which is really not bad for an A12, but if Santana's on the field, a 58k S12 is available instead. He also has access to an acceptable S-Pass, which you can use as a 53k pass option, and that should be more than enough to beat any mediocre defenders. 31k interception should be also more than enough to defeat any white or extremely long passes that go over him, but you don't expect that he'll be around much to cut those long passes because he's primarily either an attacking midfielder or forward position, so this is primarily only a way to harass defenders or forwards right upon kickoff. There are a few skill builds that you can go with him. If you're going to use him to shoot, you have a decision to make as to whether you sincerely think you can field Santana with him or not. If you can, then you can neglect S Confrontational Shot and instead add S Brazilian Twin Shot, S Brazilian Golden Duo, and to replace the A Brazilian Silver Duo, S High Speed Through Ball, A High Speed South American Dribble, and A Swift Interception. If running Santana is too difficult and you still want to shoot, then you're going to have to use S Confrontational Shot. You can keep A Brazilian Silver Duo if you have access to a Pepe, or you can use A New Brazil Football instead to bring the ball forward. Just simply note that you will have less success as those skills are quite a bit weaker. If you're a bit more utility oriented and expect to see him in the midfield, consider A Swift Sliding Tackle instead of a 1-2 and focus on using your S Pass to enable other players. Frankly, he suffers from not having many S skill options, which should change down the line. What do you think of this hidden ability evolution? We think it's an interesting way to synergize with the Natureza from this banner, making him incredibly attractive as a player as a result due to the 2 Rising Sun solidarity bonuses giving him 4% worth of stats at the team skill level and another 8 to him alone just from Leo. Is Leo a key player in a skill type Latin American team? Well, let's just say I don't think he's not. Is Leo worth pulling for? Well, if you have Natureza already or you're really gunning for a skill type Latin American team, I honestly don't see how you aren't pulling for him already. Our last player is Pepe, Brazilian forward's willpower. He's one of the 2 players to receive new hidden abilities from this set of players, and I think he's the best of the bunch. He is a toughness type Latin American forward and attacking midfield from the Rising Sun version of the Brazil national team. His hidden abilities and team skill make him a great player to pair up with the 1000 Days Celebration Sao Paulo Roberto, but he fits in great with the classic blue Roberto as well. Leo comes with 5 strong hidden abilities that put him in the conversation for best version of Pepe thus far in the game. Penalty Area Master increases stats by 5% when he enters the box, which is pretty okay. Recover decreases his stun time by 80%, which is useful if you miss a shot or it's deflected back into play, as you can get him the ball back quickly to try again. And that's great because low ball request ensures that you can feed him only low balls when you pass to him inside the box, or if he taps the ball to himself. His last 2 abilities are 2 separate stats up passives, the first of which grants forwards and attacking midfielders a 3% buff to all their stats, and the second of which makes Roberto a whopping 5% stronger on the field. Pepe comes with a super solidarity for toughness type Latin American players worth 15% to all stats with an additional 2% for any Rising Sun players, with a spiel you've heard me give before. His passive is Pedal to the Metal, which boosts his stats by a whopping 20% during full power, which means he's basically offline during regular play, but turns into a credible goal-scoring threat when full power kicks in. His main skill is S Full Power Diving Header, which isn't too shabby at 455 momentum for 385 stamina. His other 2 skills are A skills with A Brazilian Silver Duo, a 1-2 with Leo that has 315 momentum for a cost of 340 stamina, as well as an A Swift Sliding Tackle, a tackle that can reach a paltry 270 momentum for 280 stamina. Pepe's stats are similar to Leo's, with an 8.3 shot, showing off that he wants to shoot. Like Leo, he's similarly balanced elsewhere with 6.5k dribble, 6.3k pass, 5.3k tackle, 5.5k intercept, and 5.8k speed, so he's obviously another full-on offensive character. He is also 5% stronger in the box, permanently 3% stronger due to his own hidden abilities, and gets much more powerful during full power. Now for most players I would normally give them more than 1 limit break, but I just don't see the use in anything other than a standard striker one here with 25 shot, power, and speed, and also throw in their 21 pass and 4 technique for his 1-2s and passes. Pepe is going to do very little defending and he's going to generally hit full power, 1-2 the ball up to the box, and tap it to himself. Or he's going to be sent the ball into the box by someone else and activate full power to make an attempt at the goalkeeper. His play pattern is strong, predictable, and straightforward. Pepe's parameters aren't really the star of the show. The star of the show is how offensively good he makes Roberto on your team. That said, he can boost his parameters up 28% total in a match when he's in the box and full powered. The volley he comes with can reach 77.4k as a low ball, which isn't really insane or anything, but is a credible threat to the majority of goalkeepers in the game. If you have access to his S shot, that hits 74.9k as well. It's a cheaper total to use it instead of his volley if he brings the ball in himself, since tapping the ball into the air costs stamina, but it's also just a little weaker overall as a result. Without Penalty Area Master, he can hit 51.7k with a 1-2 to bring the ball up, and his best A dribble is an okay 38k. He can also learn a mostly generic average A pass thanks to the raids currently going on that can at least beat non-interceptors on auto intercepts with a low 33k. Of course, outside of full power, he's nowhere near as good, and you should probably just not circulate the ball through him when he is not in full power. There's really just one way to go with his skills, and that's forward. Along with his header, teach him S rugged South American spirit as a flexible ground option. Add to that S Brazilian wave attack to move the ball forward, A high-speed South American dribble to have an option in matchups, and A backheel pass in the event you need to dump the ball off. Like Leo, Pepe suffers from not having many options for S skills, which could improve down the line. You could consider A Sao Paulo's golden duo instead of Brazilian wave attack if you run that new red Roberto and allow yourself to stick some flavor of Tsubasa into the match as a result, so take that into consideration. Just know you're trading a lot of reliability for about 35 stamina and a lot of SSR black balls. What do you think of his hidden ability evolution? He helps make the red Latin America team a reality almost by himself, making the new Roberto banana strong. It helps that he also makes random Rising Sun players stronger as well, even if you splash them. Is Pepe a key player in a toughness type Latin American team? Given how much stronger he makes the new Roberto, I really do think so. Is Pepe worth pulling for? If you're trying to play toughness type Latin America, absolutely. He's also very useful in other interesting team appearances. There's arguments for running him in any team that splashes the old Roberto, for instance, that really wants him to score, particularly if that team also runs some flavor of Hyuga or something like that. So if you're trying to build some kind of dual forward situation where Roberto and Hyuga are your forwards, you could put him at attacking midfielder, or maybe you put Roberto at attacking midfielder and have Pepe up at forward instead, where he will not get a bunch of not passives, but hidden abilities or buffs himself, but he will give so many to Roberto that he does make Roberto a credible scoring threat. Anyway, thank you all for checking this video out. If you like this video, consider hitting the like button. If you would like to check out further content from Tsubasa, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Again, if you guys want to support the latest and best Captain Tsubasa subreddit, make sure to check our new one out at reddit.com/r/ctdt. Thanks again for your time, and I hope to see you all soon.